she comes, I think. Hi, Lori.
Nate, such a pleasure.
What else attracts you to Chad? You've said you'll be exonerated, and he will too.
Absolutely, we will.
Will that be before he's
And we didn't meet. You just put a microphone in my face.
Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? Why didn't you just tell me where the kids were?
From day one, when someone called you and said, hey, Nate Eaton, this is going to be the biggest story of your life. And then you ran with it, and you got famous from it.
So if Tylee killed JJ and then felt bad and committed suicide, how did she die first? The night before Alex died, he told Zulema, I think Alex doing in the storage unit, moving the tire and the seat back and forth.
You've been pushing this narrative for 5.5 years. When you're open to changing your mind, I will be happy to enlighten you. You remember I asked you to watch a movie. And did you watch that movie?
So here we go, guys. Welcome to Chasing a Murderer. And today we're learning about Nate Eaton's, new interview with Lori Vallow Daybell, the zombie-killing serial killer doomsday mom. I think that's the biggest title for a killer I've ever seen in my life, but it's a well-deserved title for Lori, something she did achieve, whether she admits to it or not. I can see your excitement, guys. You're ready for this interview, and it's not because it's not like you haven't seen an interview with Lori and a reporter, but this interview seems to be asking the questions you want to know. In reality, it's perfect timing since she's finished all her trials. There's nothing to hold back on anymore. So this really gives Nate the opportunity to ask questions we all wanted to ask her and to see her response to, as if it's going to do any good. This is the biggest narcissist I think I've ever seen on the planet. She is washed up in herself and her ideas and her way. It's her way or the highway. You could see her actually reaching out to Nate, thinking that she can reach into his brain and switch it to believe what she wants him to believe. Even asking him to watch a movie so that he might be able to come to terms and walk on this fine line between fantasy and reality, and was even trying to encourage him, recruit him to join or get on the boat with her. Again, this is part of her narcissistic control tactic. She lacks empathy. She has this very strong need to control her environment and the people around her. This can, ultimately lead to very manipulative and abusive behaviors. She's prioritizing her own needs, her own desires above all else and everyone else. She's making this attempt to gaslight Nate and whoever she talks to, of course, making you doubt your own reality. This is a very type of emotional blackmail, to be honest. Making Nate believe that, all these other people you're listening to, this narrative they're putting out, they're crazy. It's not me. Come join me and you'll see the truth. It seems like Nate Eaton's going to give it a good go to try to bring her to the reality that her children are dead. But it seems like, with the hints that we're getting from these clips for the interview that's coming up, she is not going to give him an inch or anybody an inch to believe that she is a killer. Not even for her own children, her own flesh and blood, whom she brought into this world and fed and cared for all those years. Nate even calls her out on some of her predictions that she was this prophetess that knew the end was coming and Jesus was returning.
We're on trial in Idaho. Didn't you say that Jesus was going to be back before the end of that trial?
Oh, thank you, Nate. A fact. A true fact.
I think the first time you've seen that excitement from Lori where she was caught and she had to suddenly, find a way out of that net that was thrown around her, that sudden question that she wasn't expecting from Nate. You gotta remember, Lori believes that she has the power to predict when Jesus was returning to earth, and also she was to be one of the first Mormon female prophetess ever. And so she had these predictions, these dates that she was sharing. Some of the dates have been wrong, I have to say. but there's a few. But, Lori believed that she had the ability to predict, you know, the return of Christ, the building of Zion, and her job was to rid this world of the evils, to lead this new millennium under Christ. He also brought up the fact they had to exhume Tammy's remains, and then they found something very alarming.
They exhumed her body the day before Alex died, which looked suspicious with Alex's death. They exhumed her body, and they said no, she had the marks.
Did you hear what you just said? I love it, Nate. You're just as naive as I was, and I love it.
So there you go, another attempt of a manipulator trying to pull him in and make him feel part of her world, making it seem they have these things in common, that they are naive together. But I think Nate must have been preparing a while for this, because he seemed, according to these clips, to have been prepared not to be pulled into her nonsense or to be drawn in and go into this flirtatious friendship of comfort while interviewing her, hopefully. Now remember, she and Chad sat in their portals in their closets, and they were praying to get rid of all the zombies on this earth. She has a lot of stuff that we don't know about that you're going to have to watch Life Beyond the Grave. I think I've discovered and uncovered, if you are curious as to why she does what she does and how it got to where it did. She continues to refer to Scripture and to Jesus, which is just insane. Seems that Nate Eaton's going to get tired of her fibbing at one point, especially when you think about 2 kids that died in this case. After Lori continues to push this narrative, which Keith Morrison from Dateline refused to let her share it. But Nate is given her that opportunity to share all her lies and drag them kids down under the bus again and again and again. But it looks like he may be able to say, hey, you know what? Everything you say is a lie. Why didn't you tell the police what you're saying right now? It doesn't make sense. Because all she's done is deny, deny, deny.
Why didn't you tell all this to the police?
So,
why didn't you tell them all this when you were arrested? Explain this to them.
and nobody was asking me what's happening. Nobody asked Chad what was happening. Would you have listened then? You have to.
Absolutely. I wish you
You
would.
need to be on the boat, Nate. Are you on the boat yet? Because when you're on the boat, Nate, I am going to be happy to share all this stuff with you, because miracles are on the way.
I wanted to.
Miracles are on the way.
Lori seems to think that she has a chance to get Nate Eaton to come over to her side. But she's going to find out real quick that's not the case. And her demeanor changes really quickly. You can see her go from this outgoing personality with this, seems like positive energy, determined, loving, to snaring and probably calculating his numbers of how dark he is. And it appears that Nate is out to show her that he cannot be a pushover. She's barking up the wrong tree, and hopefully he's going to hold it together and show her. Give her that scolding she's been needing from someone. She's like a kid that gets away with anything that she wants her whole entire life, has never been told no, and hopefully that's going to be the case this time, that Nate's going to just rip and shatter her world in two. And I'm seeing people making comments about the Dateline and comparing it to this. Well, you got to remember, Keith Morrison is older, more patient, and he did not want to give her the time of day to fulfill those lies, which he felt was the moral thing to do. And, I agree. I mean, it probably would have been better to not give her that opportunity to lie about how her children died. So I hope no one continues to keep giving Keith Morrison's Dateline interview too much trouble, because he was just trying to prevent her from carrying on an agenda that would further hurt the victims in the case. Keith Morrison is a brilliant moral reporter, which is rare. Now, the difference is Nate's going to probably allow her to tell that story, but it looks like he's going to go straight for the jugular. He's not going to let her to take that agenda and twist it in the way she wanted to for national TV. People are tired of seeing Lori Vallow get interviews. Absolutely sick of it. But they said, even though they're sick of seeing that, they were glad to see a reporter, maybe, we haven't seen it yet, stand up to her shenanigans and not allow her to make these victims look any worse than she already has. Pay attention, guys. You're going to see her personality switch. She can go to saying she loves you so much, but in the back of her mind, she's planning out how to take you out. Lori Vallow is one of the most dangerous people on earth. And do you expect for Chad Daybell to continue to be under her spell? Or do you think he's going to come out and start talking? Well, he should. He owes that to his wife, Tammy, to his children, and to the Lord and Savior he claims to worship and love. All right, share your thoughts below, guys.
While you were in the temple, while Tammy was still alive, you were in the temple with Chad. Your children were found dead in Chad's backyard. That's not wrong. Tylee was chopped up and burned. That's not wrong.
No, that's all mixed up. That wasn't.
I saw photos of JJ wrapped in plastic and duct tape. That wasn't wrong. We're really blaming this all on Tylee.
I lost my children.
You did.
What did I do to them?
You arranged with Alex to conspire to kill them.
Here's the thing. She knows we don't know the whole story, and she's going to use that against us and use that as a way to continue to say we don't know what we're talking about. I believe Lori Vallow had a bigger role to play in some of these murders than we are led to believe. But Nate looks like he's going to get quite serious on her. Will he be able to control himself to be able to let her answer some of those questions that you're going to be on the edge of your seat waiting to hear? Tylee Ryan deserves better. JJ Vallow deserves better. Charles Vallow, Tammy Daybell, and even Joe Ryan. They are all victims to her in some way or another, and this includes people that were just in her circle. Lori Vallow's feet began to twitch harder and harder, which showed that Nate was getting under her skin. So guys, I would like to know your thoughts on this. What do you want to see in this interview? Go ahead and tell me what do you think you're going to see, and then we'll share it on the next upload.
You say Jesus is your friend.
Absolutely.
Does he support cheating on your spouse? Does he support killing your husband? Killing your kids? Killing your boyfriend's wife? Using your kids' money while they're dead?
You know, there's always a Judas. And I almost used to think of you as the Judas.
Me? Was I on the dark list? So, Lori, if you could go back 6 years, would you change anything?
Oh, that's a good question, Nate.
So don't miss it, guys. Tomorrow, Courtroom Insider, check out Nate Eaton. He's worked so hard on this case, like so many of us, and it's been a long, over 5 years of a nightmare, to be honest. You think anybody's going to be able to get through to her? You're wrong. I don't know if she'll ever wake up. Again, I'd like to mention, I do have a it's 5 years of very hard research and story writing and following of this case. Check out Life Beyond the Grave. Don't forget about our children that continue to go missing out there. Please share them on your social media today. People like Dulce and Jasmine Robinson, Summer Wells. And I would like to ask you kindly to please like, subscribe. Or don't, I guess. Well, at least give me some kind of something. You know, I love you guys so much. I appreciate your support. And I'm working on several videos right now, so hang in there. I'm trying to get them done and uploaded, but it's hard in between the breaking news here. So, good luck, Nate.